Hi folks, today we're going to review the game Stargate SG-1. Let's check it out. Alright, so here is the Stargate board, and as you see there are several different Stargates you will get depending on your color and which team you are. These are actually pretty detailed for the amount. Let's see if I can get that in the shot there. Pretty detailed for a little game. But anyway, there's the Stargates. Here's all the different color players you can play. You can play as the Goa'uld, and here are their ships and their characters. Two different colors for depending on the number of players you will have. Here's the Asgard and their ships. See, I can show you that. And then finally we have Earth and their ships. And like I said, if two people want to play Earth, they can. If one wants to play Earth, you probably just choose one of these colors. But as you can see, lots of detail in the ship, lots of detail in the characters too. That's really nice. The game will tell you, depending on the number of players, how many ships you will start with and what your starting position will be. You're not going to start with any combat units yet, or any Stargate bases. Well, actually, the number of places you have will always have a Stargate base. But anyway, it also gives you these little letterings on where they will start. Those denote the sectors here, the different emblems. The only emblem on here that you will never start at is in the center. That's pretty special, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now, as you see, the board has these little implements in there, so you could just pop in your Stargate, and it doesn't, move across the board. Where if it's just a regular piece, you have to just brush across it. So that's kind of neat why they did that. I don't know, but I mean, it keeps that Stargate base in there on the board. So what you're doing, let's say I'm the Asgard here, and I would start with X amount of ships depending on, how many players there are in the game. And what you're trying to do is take over X amount of sectors. Now, the game also will let you know, depending on the number of players, how many sectors you need to control. If this was a 2-player game, I'd have to get 4 sectors, 3 or 4-player game, 3 sectors, and so on and so forth. 5 to 6-player game, 2 sectors. And as you see on this board here, sectors are denoted in the colors. This is a different color, this is a different color. These are all different sectors here. Also, you see little purple sections here. Those are wormholes. If my spaceship was to fly into one, I could pop up on the opposite end of that wormhole. Not just any one, just the opposite end. So it just helps you get across the galaxy a little bit faster, but also can give your enemies extra advantage on getting across the board and moving there faster. So those are what the wormholes are for. But anyway, at the start of your turn, you're going to move around conquering sections. Now these spaceships, they get to move up to 3 of these squares here anyway, horizontally, vertically, however they want to move around. Hopefully you're trying to get a whole sector. When you take control of a sector, you're basically planting your unit, your Stargate base there. So, I mean, the game gives you tons of Stargate here and tons of other pieces for all of your players there. So if I was to capture this one, I would put a Stargate there automatically. Now, at the end of my turn, you're going to count up the number of Stargate bases. However many there are, they're going to each produce 1 combat unit. Now, combat units, you can only have 2 per Stargate base, and 2, you can carry up to 2 per ship. And that's kind of how it works there. Now, if you have more, if you already have 2 at each base, you can't get any more combat units. You have to remove them, get them on ships, or you can exchange 5 combat units for 1 ship, and you can do that at the end of your turn. So the point is, of course, to build your armada and of course build your combat units up. Now, how it would work if you were flying through, you can fly through vehicles of your own, like ships can pass up ships in your own vicinity, but if you're going up against an opposing ship, let's say Earth is right here, and they have, let me get their little Stargate base here. Let me put the little man here. If I wanted to attack Earth right here in this sector, what I'd do, I'd go 1, 2, 3, and I'm in his sector right there. So now what I have to do is we have to battle. Now battle is very simple. Basically each player is rolling a die and the highest roll wins. So that's all it is. So let's say I beat him. Well, I couldn't take this Stargate because there's a unit there. Now, if I have a unit in my ship, I can send my combat unit there to battle his combat unit. Again, highest roll would win. And if I defeated him, then I would replace his Stargate with one of my own. Now, if he didn't have anyone there, it's just a ship, and I beat his ship, I automatically place a Stargate there, regardless of whether I have ground units or not. Usually you do want to take ground units with you just in case, because they can guard the ship. Now, if you can control an entire sector, you also, at the end of your turn, get an additional ship for that. The only exception to that rule would be if you control the center sector. If you control the center right here, you will get 2 ships at the end of your turn, since this is the middle of the board and would be very hard to control. No one ever gets to start off here either. This symbol that they have on the board is not on your starter list, even for up to 6 players. They're going to take spaces everywhere else but the center. So the center is a really nice place to get if you can get it. But like I said, it's going to be hard because everyone's going to be fighting for it. So also, one of the things you have to count out is for each Stargate base you have, you're going to be able to draw a Stargate card. Now, these Stargate cards can signify anything. Like, let's look at this one. It says, you found a Stargate code. Allows you to send up to 2 combat units at one enemy Stargate base. Oh, that's neat. So it's going to let you do different things. Now, there's only 6 of these in the game, so there's not much variety in the deck. Different colors denote the different ones, but they all say the same. Like both reds will say you found an enemy starship coordinates. Allows you to send up to 2 combat units to an enemy starship. That's really cool. So in essence, if maybe this guy was attacking me and I had that card, I could play that card and attack his ship. If I beat his ship, what happens is I can replace it with one of my own because I basically just commandeered his ship, and battle would take place the same way. So these cards can let you do additional things in the game, like send missiles and nukes through Stargates to another one, blow something up. So the more Stargates you have, the more cards you can get, and you always draw up at the end of the round however many Stargates you have. And again, on your turn, you can play as many of these cards as you want. Now, the game is over when someone controls as many sectors they need to win. And that is Stargate. Alright, so final thoughts. What do I think about Stargate, the board game? Well, first off, I love Stargate. This is one of my favorite franchises out there. I've seen all the TV shows. I love the movie when it came out. And when I heard there was a book, I was like, I gotta get this game. Unfortunately, the game was way too expensive at the time. And fortunately for me, though, a buddy of mine from Australia was able to get me a copy, pristine, a brand new condition. I opened it from the shrink wrap, breathed it all in, and love how this game looks. I love the pieces. So different, there's only 3 different races in the Stargate world, so they couldn't do much to make 6 players but change the color. But I'm totally fine with that because the pieces look great. The Stargates look great. The game is very simple and very easy to teach. But on the other end of the spectrum there, that's also a bad thing. You're just rolling the die, whoever gets the highest roll wins. Kind of simplistic. However, it's kind of easy though that way to teach as well. Not many people would be intimidated by it and they like the nice pieces. There aren't that many Stargates to go around, so if you're playing a 3-player game, you may want to just grab both colors of that one race and play it because you won't have enough Stargates to put everywhere. So I guess as long as you just control the sector, meaning there are no other ships in that sector, then you would get the bonus of a bonus ship. Another small complaint would be that there's not enough variety in the cards. Like I said, there's only 6 different types of cards in a deck that thick. Units, combat units, can be a little frustrating to move around. Once you have 2 at every Stargate, you can't get any more. You can't get, they don't roll over like, cell phone minutes. You use them or lose them. But the biggest complaint I have about this game is the player count. You have to play this with 6 players to have fun. Let me explain. The first time we played it, we played with 4 players, and the game didn't go that well because with 4 players, there's plenty of sectors to conquer without having to fight anyone. In fact, in a 4-player game, only 2 players are going to fight, while the other 2 players rush to get all their sectors. And that's how the game ended. It was a rush between me and someone else, while the other 2 players were fighting over one sector. We were gathering up the other 2 sectors as no one was fighting for, and we won the game without even lifting a finger in the fight. And then I tried it with a 5-player game. Same thing happened. 2 were fighting, and that one odd man out won the game because he wasn't fighting over a sector. He found 2 sectors that no one was fighting over, conquered them both, and won the game. So the only thing that makes sense is if you have a 6-player game where everyone is fighting someone, they're opposing someone, and they're trying to grab the land. Everyone's at war. That's the only way this game works, which is kind of sad because like I said, game's easy to teach, easy to learn, and has beautiful components. But you have to play it with 6 players or it doesn't work that well at all. Now, sadly, there's a few of my friends who like Stargate, but do I have 6 people who would be interested to play? And if so, would they be interested to play such a simple game? I don't know. There's a few people in my gaming group who said, yeah, let's play it. I played it with my nephews a little bit because it was easy to teach and easy to play. They had fun, but of course there weren't that many battles going around, and it kind of frustrated me that the person who wasn't fighting battles was always the one that won. So should you get it not at the exorbitant prices that's going for online? If you find it super cheap like my buddy did, and you like Stargate, yeah, pick it up. It's fun for kids. For adults, maybe. Like I said, the rules are simple, but they may be too simple for serious board gamers. Anyway, folks, that is all the time I have for now. Until next time, game on!